In the late 1960s, the Zodiac Killer terrified residents of San Francisco and the surrounding areas after witnessing the brutal nature of his crimes, and on top of that, how seemingly random these attacks were. According to the case breakers, they claim to have identified the Zodiac Killer as Gary Francis Post, who passed away in 2018. Unfortunately for them, the local police are now saying that the case breakers have the wrong guy. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know right here on IO. But first, if you could do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. With that out of the way, let's begin. Despite the case breakers naming Gary as their alleged serial killer, police who had previously searched for the identity of the Zodiac Killer are reportedly claiming that the identification was likely false. The Zodiac Killer is known to have carried out at least 5 slayings between 1965 and 1969 in the San Francisco area. A team of specialists who investigate cold cases and call themselves the case breakers are made up of more than 40 law enforcement investigators, journalists, and military intelligence officers. According to them, new forensic evidence that included photos from Gary Post's darkroom and ciphered messages were uncovered after they had spent years digging into this case. They believe that these details were strong enough evidence to match Gary to the Zodiac Killer. Although, as I saw some of you commenting on our last video, you were also a little bit suspicious of the fact that they were just matching wrinkles in their foreheads. I mean, if that were the case, then a lot of older men in the US are potential suspects of the Zodiac Killer. Not to mention, their prime suspect passed away in 2018. So it's not even like this person could defend themselves against this claim made by the case breakers. The Riverside Police Department also said that the letters did not suggest any evidence that Post was guilty, adding that otherwise members of the force would have happily come forward to support this. When the case breakers contacted the Riverside Police Department to do a DNA test on a Zodiac Killer victim's hair and compare it to Gary's DNA, the police department refused, mainly because they believed, and they said this 100% they believed, that the killer was actually local to Riverside County, and therefore they did not want to consider anyone outside of the county. Frank Falzone, a former SFPD inspector, also said that he believes Post isn't the right guy. He considers the evidence collected by the case breakers to be nothing more than circumstantial evidence, which in his view is not enough to actually draw that big of a deduction that Post is the Zodiac Killer. To properly identify this man, they would need his fingerprints, handwriting, and based on what he saw in the case breakers analysis, they did not have any of that. Frank used to be in charge of the Zodiac Killer case, so if anyone is going to be able to say yes, that's him, or no, that's not him, it's this guy. I mean, if anyone would be thrilled to see this killer identified, it's Frank Falzone. This group also tried to claim that Post was responsible for the slaying of Sherry Jo Bates, who was found dead on October 31st, 1966, but they also noted that this would have required the Zodiac Killer to be more than 400 miles south of San Francisco, where his first known killing took place. The circumstantial evidence I was speaking about earlier included those photos, matches of the forehead line, a wristwatch with splattered paint on it that they linked to Post, who worked 40 years as a house painter, and a heel print found in the dirt at a crime scene that was similar to the military-style boot that Post would often wear. So yeah, a lot of coincidences, but nothing really solid that they could say 100% this is our guy. The wristwatch evidence is especially a little bit weird because if he worked for 40 years as a house painter, you would think that at some point he would have figured out a way to not get paint on any of his watches, or perhaps not even wear a watch at all because he would understand the inevitability of getting paint on it. Paint on a watch seems like something that an amateur painter would do. I know me being a contrarian right there doesn't actually solve this mystery, but I just wanted to show you how easy it is for someone to pick apart evidence like this. We would love to hear your thoughts on all of this, so don't forget to drop us a comment down below. For now though, I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube, or at least try it.